What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sunday Roundtable with my man Smoke Freezy, and I'm Kwame Fisher Jones. First topic on deck: high school track, or shall we say, transgender high school track. So here's the backdrop, Dan. In Washington State, a transgender athlete won a 400 meter race against other high school girls. And I don't know if I'm supposed to refer to the transgender athlete as he, him, them, they, and I don't really get into the pro. Like, I don't care about the pronouns. If that you want to be called they, I'll call you they. Like I got no beef with that. I do, however, have strong issues about the whole transgender athletic competition thing. But essentially, the school district decided that they were not going to allow the transgender female who was born a male to compete in the female state track meet, therefore vacating their win. What say you?
Are they putting an asterisk in the win column?
I don't even think they're considering it a win. I think that second took first and third took second, and that's how they're doing.
I mean, this is just a lot different from back in my day. There was no extra people back in my day. It was just regular male and women. And that's where I draw my...
It wasn't. And
I don't know that.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
How?
Because
I don't know of any transgender people in life, period. At all.
Well, transgender people didn't just come around an hour ago, B. They've been around for a minute. And there were celebrities.
No, but there was never transgender people running in the race when they're clearly a man racing with women.
It may have been, and we just didn't know.
No. We would have to. We gotta know. It's just, nowadays.
There's a part of this that the availability of news consumption, meaning the people can consume news in so many different fragments or so many different entities now, it has allowed us to become more familiar with these situations. But to say that it didn't take place 30 years ago when there were celebrities who got caught with transgender people in compromising situations 30 years ago.
I don't know that. 30 years ago, maybe, but I don't know that.
Then you need to do your research, and by research I mean Google.
Well,
because I can think of a celebrity right now that got caught with a transgender person. I can think of one right now, 30 years ago.
Who?
I'm not.
Eddie Murphy?
Oh, well, look at you. You seem to figure that out quite quickly.
I don't know that. I mean, I heard it as a rumor, but I don't.
No, it was not a rumor. It was a fact. It happened. But nevertheless, let's neither here nor there. Go back to the high school athlete. I do agree.
Eddie Murphy's wife is bad as hell, bro. Why would he do that?
He had a different wife at that time. I don't even know if he was married. And I'm not getting into that. I don't care. I don't care. The topic is about transgender athletes competing in sports that I don't even know how to phrase it. Like, okay, so
transgender athletes competing in sports.
If you're born a biological male, right? And you decide I'm going to become a female.
Right. And I'm going to compete with the females.
Yeah, see, I don't think you can do that. I think that I'm gonna stand on this. Stand on this. Put 10 toes down on this. If you're born a biological female and you decide you want to become a male, God bless you. Do what you want to do. But you vacate the opportunity to do certain things. It's just
right.
the way
you can't do what you want to do when it comes to that.
I tell my kids this, to anybody close, I tell them that everything falls. And it's not a matter of can or cannot. It's a matter of will or will not. Will you pay the price to do what you want to do? Will you compromise or will you pay that price to get what you want to get? So in this situation, the price that you're paying is you can no longer compete in sports, athletic sports, or gender-specific competitions. That's how the ball bounces. When you make this decision, that's how it goes. Because the line is too blurred. If you no longer consider yourself a male, you have a right to do that. It's your body, your decision.
Right,
You have a
right, right,
100% right to do that. So you do that, God bless you. But you vacate the opportunity to compete in a
right,
male gendered sport or a female gendered sport.
right. Because
Because
facts
you
are
no
the
longer want to
facts.
be recognized as a male, and you, while converting to or transitioning to a female, you still are not a born female. And those events are for people that are born male or born female.
So men in history has been bigger, stronger, and faster. Therefore, if you was born a man, you shouldn't compete with
You might have a
females.
competitive edge, but I'm not a person that studies genetics. I'm not a genealogist. I don't know though. I don't know that specifically. But what I can tell you is the rules state the following. And if you don't like those rules, or you don't believe in those rules, you have to change the rules. And if people don't agree with you to change those rules, then it is what it is. Like as far as having a competitive advantage, that's up to debate. That's up to debate because
Hmm.
it, there are women
Is
right
it?
now that would serve me in the
Is it really?
WNBA. There are women right now in the WNBA that would give me work. That they're
You,
born
but they're
women.
not giving like a guy like Joe and Billy work or
True,
somebody in the
but
league.
I'm saying it was like, where's the competitive edge line end and where's it begin? So I don't want to fight that competitive edge debate because what you're basically saying is all men, all women, and that's not true. It's some women, some men. So you have to differentiate and decide who can and who can't. No, if there's a rule that says you have to be born a male or born a female to participate in this sport, then that's just the way the ball bounces. That's just the way the cookie
That's it.
crumbles.
It don't matter about your feelings. Shout out to the LGB people. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to hate on y'all, but at the end of the
Well, it's not
day,
a hate thing, but it's not a hate thing. But
y'all can't do that.
everything in life has
But they're very
lanes.
sensitive. They're very sensitive as far as I can tell. And they're gonna get upset with you quickly over some
They
weird
may or
shit
may not,
stuff.
and that okay.
I had this
I don't.
guy.
I'm not. There's no contempt or malice in my statement here. You
No,
know what I
no.
mean? The same way they
I
want laws to protect them, and there be no blurred lines to protect them, then there are laws that are going to be made that they may not find favorable. It's something that we as people, human beings, because that's what it all comes down to. Human beings. We all are compartmentalized in some way. We are itemized in some way where we can't do right. We can't always get what we want, or we can't always do what we want because of some specific rule. And while the rule is not something we agree with, it is what it is. I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna use an awful analogy, but I'll put it to the point. Credit scores, right? Credit scores. They are what they are. You can't,
right.
and based on your credit score, you can or can't qualify for certain things. Regardless if you financially can afford it, if you don't have the credit score, you can't get it. And that sucks. And then we find out that they base credit scores on race, on culture, on where you
Our
live, things
history,
like that. Yeah, our
job
history.
history.
So that sucks because there's always context to it, but that's
Well,
the way it is.
well, a lot of times they'll just make you pay a different rate. I mean, you may not have the credit to qualify for a good rate.
Sometimes if you're not even on that level, you can't get approved. Period. You
Yeah,
can't get
that's pretty
approved.
bad.
Period. Now maybe they could create. Maybe as time goes, they could create a league or a competition that is exclusively for transgender athletes.
There
I
you
don't know
go.
if, but I don't know if transgender athletes want to do that. I don't know if that's something they want to do. And then what happens if some
I
do and
don't know
some don't?
why they won't want to do that.
Well, I'm not transgender. I
You're
don't know why they
transgender.
wouldn't.
Everyone's transgender. We're good,
Some may and some may not. You can't
and
fully
it
decide.
eliminates
Go ahead.
the guesswork. Everybody's the same there. I mean,
But
you're pre-op or post-op. I don't know, but
pre-op or
y'all,
post-op. Look at you. Look at you.
y'all can do
Pre-op
what
or
you do.
post-op. Look at you.
Yeah,
Either way,
I'm a,
man, I
I,
agree with
I'm a
I agree
person
with
of the day. I know
Washington
what's going on.
State's school district's decision. I agree with their decision. And it's not about competitive advantage. I want to emphasize that. For me, it's not about competitive advantage. It's just that they have a certain list of rules in place. And those rules are in place. And if you don't like those rules, you need to change those rules. But in order to change those rules, you have to first be successful in the arena in which the rules are established. So how can
But
you do that?
even so, I don't even think it's a thing. There's one story they talk about transgender people that are trying to bleed into the other, sex. But I don't believe it's a thing. I mean, you hear about it, but it's not like it's a ongoing, like everywhere you look type of thing. I don't know it's a thing. It's something that people talk about, yeah, but I don't know any transgender people.
I, I I know people that may or may not be transgender. I don't qualify them as if they are or aren't. Feel like that's counterproductive to the way I live my life. I will say that as far as transgender athletics, I believe there should be a league created for transgender athletes, but that's
Mm,
something that transgender athletes have to determine because I'm not qualified to say what they should and should not participate in. What I am
right. Because I
qualified to
don't know if there's transgender athletes out there, period, that are just waiting to have their own football league. I don't know if that's a thing. You know what I mean?
I
They few and far between that are transgender people in general.
few and far between. I can't say if there's. I can tell you that it's when you start placating to individually based rules. When you start taking individually based rules on a case by case basis, you're opening the door for a lot of things. And once you open that door, you cannot control
You
what
can't close
walks.
Pandora's box.
Well, that's one way, but I always look at it like what comes in is the issue. You know what I mean? Like once the box is open, everything flies out, and that's great. But to me, once the door is open, what comes in is what everybody's gonna have an issue with. Because if you say this guy is good or this person is good, but this person is not, now you're discriminating against people within the realm of the spirit of what the rules for. So it's just like it's all over the place. And speaking of all over the place, BET Awards. I do not watch the BET Awards. I am
How what?
not I do not watch the BET Awards. I have not
Me
watched the
neither.
BET Awards in years.
Since I
I
was
don't
in high
care who's
school.
getting an honor. I don't care who's getting honored. I don't. It's just not. It's not my lane.
It, well,
There's in
partly
life.
because I
In
don't
life,
know
we
any
have
of the
lanes.
artists.
In life, we have lanes, and there are lanes that when you're a certain age, you're
We
driving a
exit
certain car, you're in
long
that
ago.
fast lane. At this point, I'm in the slow lane. I'm not even in the middle lane anymore. I'm in the slow lane, and I'm just cruising to my own thing. BET Awards. They did a kind of an honoring of black. They call it Black Excellence, but it's essentially black people who have passed away in the year, and they
Mm.
kind of celebrate them by putting their face up to sunrise,
Did they
sunset,
celebrate OJ
and they
Simpson?
give them a round of applause. There's been a lot of hoopla, rigmarole about Orthol James Simpson being included in the Black Excellence at the BET Awards. I have no problem with this. Just saying why people get so upset about me,
He
me.
murdered a
Why
woman.
people get so upset about OJ?
He murdered a woman.
He was found not guilty.
We found guilty civilly.
I think that's a word.
He was
Word.
found guilty in the
In
civil
a
court.
civil court, he was found guilty, but in the court of law, he was found innocent. So if he was found innocent, right, and you still believe, okay, the courts are wrong, the justice system is wrong, they failed us, he's still guilty. That's your beef. That's your issue. Why can't other people disagree and celebrate OJ? OJ was an iconic athlete. He was I want to say the first 2,000-yard rusher. He was one of USC's all time. He was in two different Hall of Fames: College Football Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Fame. He was one of the
Mm.
greatest athletes of his era, of his time, and one of the greatest position athletes in his sport. Why are we now playing the moral card for athletes? Like we pick
Kinda,
and
yes.
choose.
Kinda. I think that's not a good look for them to put him up as a all an athlete that transcended sports
That's not what
and
they said. That's not what they said. That's not what they said.
well, I
All
mean, they
they
gave
said
him a
was OJ Simpson, sunrise, sunset. That's it.
okay.
It was
Okay,
not,
well that's cool. He died.
it's not here lies the great, or here's what we do for
See,
you.
that's what
You
I was
know,
thinking. It was like an honor situation where they gave him like
nah, it was
props.
just on the screen. They did brother Muzone on one screen, and then OJ, and then after OJ, they did you know what I mean? D'Angelo Barksdale after that. Like they just he was just there. And people get so OJ is so polarizing to a certain
Yes.
demographic, to a certain cultural group, and I don't understand why. And we were alive during the Simpson trial. We watched. What was it? What was it? It wasn't AJ. I want to say Anthony Collins drive him down the 405
Al
in the
Collins.
Al
Al,
Collins in the white Bronco. Like we
I
lived through
think
all
so.
that.
Yeah.
We remember how banging his daughter was. We were like, yo,
I
this is
remember when the
OJ's
verdict
daughter.
came out.
Remember when OJ?
I
Remember
was
when we
like
was,
happy. I was happy when he got let off, but there was
I could so
people
care less.
people was crying about that. I'm like, what y'all crying for? Which is the white T people in our high school. They felt a totally different way than I felt about it.
I remember a teacher, because this is when we first got classrooms in there. And I remember a teacher had it on CNN. And when they read the verdict, she was going, no, no, no. And I was like, yo, I wonder if this means we're not going to have homework. Like, you know, yo, what if this means she was so, she's, no,
Who was it?
no. It was like, yo,
Who was it?
I don't remember the teacher. I want to say it's Mr. Nada, Mr. Nato, but my history teacher, but I don't remember. I don't remember the teacher. I
This
don't
is
remember the
what
name. I
grade
can
was
see the
this?
face.
This
Oh
is in
man,
the
this
ninth grade
was
or the 10th grade.
it was 30 years ago. So this was our sophomore year. It was like 30 years ago. I want to say it's 30 years ago.
30 joints.
Yeah. So I don't. Okay, let's look at it this way. Why would we not celebrate him as black as a black celebrity who would die? Like, what would be the reason why, other than he was found innocent in a double murder? Like, what would be
Well, actually, he kind of the OJ was kind of wicked dude. Like he beat up some dude that
that had
was
stolen
had
his paraphernalia and then they went to try to get it back?
yeah, right. It's just not a good look. And no matter what the court of public opinion is just going to be like, oh well, he probably did do it. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we was hoping he got off, which I was at the time. But
Why were you hoping he got off?
I don't really know why. I don't know why. I just didn't think
Well,
that.
I
Like
could care
I was
less.
like maybe thinking that he didn't do it. I was like, oh man, he didn't do it. But now it's like
Um,
he probably
yeah,
did.
they had Mark Furman, who was like found to be a racist cop, and then he went and got a job on Fox News. Nobody cared about that.
Did Mark Furman beat up Rodney King?
No, Mark Furman didn't.
Yes, he did.
Mark Furman, no, he was not one of those. Mark Furman was not one of. Mark Furman was the cop that was on the OJ scene, and they had a recording of him. So LA, like we could just go down this road. The LA police, Los Angeles Police Department at that time had a lot of issues. It was a
They
very
shady as stuff.
well, I won't say that they just had a lot of issues.
No,
And one of the
yes.
issues that they, not just the Los Angeles Police Department, but Los Angeles in general. If you remember the young lady Brenda who was killed by the liquor store, the Vietnamese liquor store owner, they got into an argument over like change, and she killed the 13-year-old girl. And the judge said that the Vietnamese store owner had suffered enough and gave her probation instead of
Mm.
finding her guilty of murder. Like Los Angeles in general had not been had not been fair to black people. So when you had a police officer who had been on the Los Angeles police force for several years, Johnny Cochran knew that there was a good chance that he had made some racially charged statements or behaviors or whatever the case may be. So they found a recording of Mark Furman using the N word and
Mm.
just saying some awful things. And we're not going to repeat it. And that was the lead detective on OJ Simpson's case. So then they
Okay.
raised doubt by doing that. It wasn't that they raised doubt uh, you know, by questioning Nicole. I want to say Nicole Kidman, but it's not Nicole Kidman. What was it? Nicole Brown? Well, they didn't, you know what I mean, or the other young man that was killed, or the young man that was killed. It wasn't that they kind of belittled them or besmudged them or made disparaging comments about them. They attacked the Los Angeles Police Department. But that's how OJ got off. Like
Mm.
and there was questions about a lot of stuff, but it was the Los Angeles Police Department and what they'd done wrong. So you fast forward, OJ's been involved in a lot, has been involved in a lot of stuff. He actually served time. He was in jail for something else, and he was found guilty of simply the civil case. He was found guilty in the civil case, but again, that's not criminal.
But
And
see, you know all that stuff about OJ Simpson. I don't know any of it. Like, if I was to like
yeah,
figure
that's why I
out
was like, why did you care if he got off? Why did
what
you
I
care? The bigger question is, why did you have any emotion? Why were you at all emotionally involved?
I think there was one of those things everybody else was trying to get OJ off, and I was like, yeah, I want OJ to get off too. But the other side,
I didn't think anybody cared, bro. I didn't think anybody was in.
no, no,
I
no.
didn't think anybody until he got off. I didn't think there was a big deal about it. You
But
could be wrong.
I saw Jessica Frazier crying, and I'm like, what is you crying for? She was
Yes.
like, because OJ got off, and I was like, I was happy he got off at the time,
Yeah, let's
and there
call it what it
was
is. White people took that hard. White people
yeah.
took that hard. They took that case hard. And here we are 30 years later, and now their
Rest in peace to
disgruntledness
OJ
has
Simpson.
permeated through our culture because I don't see why we should not be celebrating OJ. I don't see
Mm.
like Cam, Cam hosted the show. It is what it is. Him and Mason Betha. Cam dressed up like OJ right after some comments were made about we shouldn't be celebrating OJ. Cam dressed up like OJ and was walking around in a Buffalo Bills uniform and helmet just because he's
What
Cam and that's
about
what he does.
what about Pete Rose? They don't celebrate Pete Rose. It's kind of like
We can go, yeah. It depends on what
once
you're
they
looking to
went down that
celebrate.
road, it's like nobody wants to F with him no more.
Well, he still does autograph signings. He's still, he's still in the
He's
record
banned.
books.
He's banned from the MLB.
But
Totally
he's still in the
banned.
record books. And it's funny you say that because he's not in Baseball Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds isn't in Baseball's Hall of Fame. Roger Clemens isn't in Baseball's Hall of Fame. But they go out on the street, people don't hate them. If you were to put like Barry Bonds is still regarded as one of the best athletes ever, and as well he should be. With OJ, people want to just take away everything he's done. Like anything he did up until that point doesn't matter. You didn't exist.
Because people, I mean, for me, I don't know. Like, I don't know about OJ like that. I know that he beat the murder charge. He
He beat it.
beat the murder charge, but to this day, it's just like I don't know. From what I've seen of OJ in the news, it's been like he's been kind of wicked, like he's going crazy. Like
Wait.
when he beat up that,
OJ died, right?
well, I mean, rest in peace to OJ Simpson, but I'm talking about when he beat up that brother that had his baseball or football card, and he got his paraphernalia, and I don't know about that whole thing. I just think that he beat up some dude, you know what I mean? Whatever the reason was, and I feel like I've heard in passing more bad news about OJ Simpson than any good news. In passing, like,
Of the fact that OJ's final days, he was part of the social media landscape. I love that he was on It Is What It Is because OJ prior to it's funny, it's like people want to take away all of his accomplishments, all his all world accomplishments, everything he did before he passed. people want to take that away, but those same people want to check from all the stuff that he did. So you can't be celebrated for everything that you did, but we want to check for everything that you did. Come on, man. Which one is it? But
I don't
aside
know.
from that, man, I think it's great that he got an opportunity to kind of be over there. And like I said, man, as much as people talk about OJ, whether he was black enough or I don't get into that, but OJ's got black kids and he's got he I won't talk about it. His daughter is the reason why a lot of brothers paid attention to him because when they saw his daughter, it was like, oh, that's so
He's
yeah,
got a lot of kids, doesn't he?
OJ does have a lot of kids. He's got a lot of kids, and look, rest in peace. God bless the dead to Nicole
Must be
Brown, and
some
God
brother.
bless the dead to OJ Simpson. Speaking of athletes going crazy or athletes going wild, or athletes on the bad side of people, Ryan Garcia. Now I'm going to go really heavy on this topic. Are you
Yeah,
familiar
Ryan
with?
Garcia.
Are you
I
familiar with
know,
his
giving him
tweets?
a big thumbs down.
Are you familiar with Ryan Garcia's tweets or his Twitter live or whatever? First of all,
A,
let me just
a
say this.
he was juicing, and he's a Trump supporter,
Allegedly, he was found.
and
What,
he's
what was he? So Ryan Garcia is the boxer. He made some awful comments on social media, but he was also failed a drug test for his last bout. But what did he test positive for? So I didn't know he tested positive for a steroid.
the juice. I don't know what he tested
I
positive
thought
for.
he
See,
tested
that's the
positive
thing.
for. But
I don't know the particulars in the story. I just know he beat Devin Haney, right?
yeah, man,
And
and
and that was like that was a surprise that he beat Devin Haney to me. And the next thing I know, they're like, "Oh, he was juicing." It's like, "Oh, that's all I know about it." I'm not looking. I'm not diving deep into
he has some. They say he's got a drinking problem, but they also say he's got some mental issues.
a
That's the
drinking
reports.
problem.
They say he's got a drinking problem, like he may be teetering alcohol. That's one report. Second report is that he's got some mental issues. I don't know the brothers, so I don't know the cat, so I can't
He's got
confirm either
mental
way.
issues.
But
Yeah,
I will say, I was just about to say this. I will say this:
that does sound
if
mental.
you use Twitter, I question your mental wherewithal. If you're on Twitter in any capacity on a regular basis, I question your mental. I don't say mental capacity. Yeah, I question you mentally because Twitter is a cesspool, a rest haven for the most illogical,
Mm.
ill-informed degenerates of society. There are people who literally wake up in the morning and can't make a decision on how to feel until they go to Twitter. There are people
Mm.
who serve Twitter and whose main goal is to agitate, irritate people, and then they've accomplished something by trolling.
Is that
I
what that's
remember,
called? The troll? If you do that,
yeah,
you're
they're
called.
trolling somebody. If you're and these are people who I don't know what they are socially. I don't know what they are in real life, but I can tell you that for me, you got a collared shirt on. Since when did you go with a collared shirt? So we no longer doing t-shirts?
No.
You couldn't pass that to me in a text?
Well, do you see me wearing it? I'm passing it to you
I'm
without.
over here in my Sunday casual, and you're dressed to the T. And you got the chest hair, taco meats out, and everything.
Hair on my chest. Look at it. Don't be looking at my shit, boo. Um,
I flash a little nipple. This all right. Okay, so next week I gotta put on a collared shirt. You son of a this take the front door. Look at you.
I am not dressed to
The
the T.
front
Trust me.
door. At you. I gotta get my lighting right and apparently my wardrobe right next week. Quickly. So yeah, with Garcia, man. I go well no, before I even get to Garcia, do you use Twitter? You're on the Tiki thing. Do you use Twitter?
Never. I actually, this is my extent on Twitter. There's this chick I think is hot, right?
Oh God, where's this going?
And
Where's this
at an
going?
occasion,
Oh
I'll check
God.
out her pictures, and that's my full extent of Twitter.
I do not. I have a Twitter account because sometimes when you do a Google search, sometimes stories it'll start with a tweet, and if you're not on X, we're going to if you're not on X, formerly known as Twitter,
X, there you go.
they
Yeah.
won't let you access the story. So I had one. I only follow Chris Franklin, a beat writer for the Eagles. He does my show on Tuesdays, my NFL show. Other than that, I don't follow anybody else. So it's
Uh,
Twitter to me, like I said, it's a rest haven for degenerates. So I
it
question
is.
anybody who uses Twitter. Like I do. I question anybody that uses, excuse me, X
Well, that could
for
be said for anything, for
no,
Facebook,
no, no.
Instagram.
It's
Yeah.
just X, dude. It's just X. No, it's pointless at this point.
Facebook is just as bad though, bro. Like there's tons of
Facebook maybe,
crazy
but the
stuff
thing,
going on.
the biggest beef about Facebook, or the biggest beast about Facebook is the algorithms. You can't get out of the algorithms. Like you get stuck in this algorithms where you'll just get inundated with all of these comments and all of these things through Facebook. With Twitter, dude, it's just nothing. It's nothing relevant. It's nobody that is doing anything with their life. You can be anybody on X. You can be anybody on X. You can claim to be important by purchasing a blue check on X. So
Mhm.
I don't, but anyway, going back to Garcia, man, it's obvious at this point, this cat has some major, major, major mental issues. And I don't like that all these leagues are banning him, and I don't like that people are coming out making negative statements about him because he's obviously sick. He obviously needs help. Like he obviously needs
Yeah,
help.
but you can't let your mental spill over, because if you're mental and it comes out, people aren't going to feel sorry for you. They're not going to
But
forgive you.
you know what? We did a show last week about homelessness, and I got a lot of I got a good feedback on that show, right?
Oh, right on, right on, man.
And
Shout out to the
we
peeps
will
out there.
say, okay, they're homeless, they're mentally ill, so they need help. But Ryan Garcia doesn't get that same patience because he was a successful athlete.
No, no, he doesn't. I'm sorry, it's foul, but that's how it works.
There's a
That's
double
how it
standard
works.
for athletes. There's a double standard for athletes,
It
especially athletes
is.
of color. It's a double standard for athletes because he's obviously sick. He obviously, whether he knows it or not, to make the
I don't know
statements
if it's
that he
obvious to
made,
me.
and I advise people to go on X and look at what he said because I don't want to repeat it, but he
See,
made
that's the
comments
thing.
about.
People don't want to do all that. They hear what they hear, and it's just like, oh, this man's effed up. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to do the research about it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Athletes don't get anybody's patience. Professional athletes, more than anybody, deal with the pressures
I
and the
don't think
rigors of
anybody in the limelight is going to get a whole lot of patience, to be honest with you.
and they more than anyone should get it. But it's not people who are in the limelight do. Actors do, politicians do, politicians do. The only ones
Politics.
that don't are athletes. The only ones that don't get the benefit of the doubt, the only ones that don't get an extended hand are athletes. And I'm going to jump off a bridge here and go even further into this water. It's athletes of color. It's athletes of color. Anybody of any type of with any type of melanin in their skin don't get any pardons. They're always OJ. I can give you Ty Cobb. I can give you
What about
so
Adrian
many
Broner?
athletes. I can give you
What
so
about
many
Adrian Broner?
athletes. We could talk about Adrian Broder. We could talk about,
I mean,
but
like, does he get a second chance or what? Like,
well, he's obviously a mess. Did he say anything that on the parallel of what that is polarizing and has a whole group of people
he
upset with him?
he says a whole lot of stuff.
He says a
He
whole
says
lot of stuff and does a whole lot of stuff that could be deemed obnoxious, but nobody's running around with it. It's not like Floyd Mayweather. People hate Floyd Mayweather. People hate Ryan Garcia. People hate OJ. People just are annoyed by Adrian Broner. There's a difference.
I see. I don't know who are these people that hate these people. Like, you might not
You
like
don't
it,
know who
but hate
people that
is
hate OJ? You don't know anybody that hates OJ?
no. I don't. Why would you hate him? Rest in peace, OJ. But why would you hate him? Why would you? Because he did something 30 years ago that we
So
don't know. Like
why were people so mad if people don't hate OJ?
what?
Why were people so mad about OJ? Why are people so mad about Ryan Garcia if they don't hate them?
Who's mad about him? I know. I heard about
So
the
you
story
haven't heard
about.
any news about any of those topics.
I have, but I was like, oh, that's effed up. It's like move on with life. You know what I'm
So
saying? I'm not
you
gonna be
know
like,
people, so
I'm
you're
not
aware of
holding a
people that
grudge on
hate
these
them.
people like at all. Like I'm like, you effed up. I'm not holding a grudge on you. Like, you gotta do what you gotta do.
So you are aware of people that hate them. You just don't understand why they hate them.
I don't know who hates them. Nobody says to me, or I don't ever see somebody, oh, that Ryan Garcia, man. Oh, okay. I hate that mother. I never hear anything like that.
So what do you
Hey,
hear?
I mean, the only thing I heard was he was juicing. That's the only thing I heard about him.
What
Then
about OJ? You
I
never
hear,
heard anybody say they hated
then
OJ?
I hear him using that N word, and then I hear like with Trump, and he's like shadow boxing in front of Trump. I'm like, Dan Garcia, I'm good on you. Like that's all I need to know about you.
But you've never heard anybody say they don't like him.
No,
And you
Dan
never heard
Garcia,
anybody
OJ
say they don't
Simpson.
like OJ. You never heard anybody say they don't like OJ.
To be honest, I hear the opposite about OJ because he was a great running back.
So
All
everybody
that stuff.
you hear people say they like OJ.
Yeah, my dad was talking about OJ when the other day when he died. He was telling me how he was so nice and how the Eagles should have drafted OJ Simpson, but they took somebody else. And I'm like,
That was the
oh,
story that
okay.
came out. Okay. Well, maybe it's just me. Maybe what I see is just me. I don't know. We're pressed against it anyway. That's
Maybe,
it.
maybe,
What's up?
maybe. I think you may know too many people that don't like that, but I don't know.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode of Sunday Roundtable. That's Smoke Free Zone, Kwame Fisher Jones. Next time, we'll see. Until next time, we appreciate your time here. You be easy.
Peace.